The New Orleans Pelicans, my apologies, are losing to the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference playoffs right now. They are 1 game away from elimination. They will be eliminated. However,
assuming things.
I have loved what Rajon Rondo has done to this team. And a quote that he had, I viewed as a subtle diss once again at what occurred with the Chicago Bulls. And by the way, for the record, he's on the money. So, Mirotic, as in Nikola Mirotic, needed someone like Rondo constantly building him up instead of breaking him down, which is what occurred. And they developed that kinship during Rondo's lone season with the Bulls, a season that featured Rondo coming to the defense of the team's younger players after they were called out by Jimmy Buckets, Dwyane Wade. Rondo fired back at the All-Star duo in an IG post, strengthening his relationship with Mirotic and the younger players in the locker room. Here's what occurred. After a loss, Dwyane Wade said, I don't know if people care enough. I can look at Jimmy and say Jimmy is doing his job. I can think Jimmy can look at me and say Dwyane is doing his job. I don't know if we can keep going down the line and be able to say that. Rondo took to Instagram and just dissed the hell out of those players. My vets would never go to the media. They would come to the team. My vets didn't pick and choose when they wanted to bring it. They brought it every time they stepped in the gym, whether it was practice or a game. And so on and so forth. A dig at Jimmy Butler and Dwyane Wade. On top of that, how good of a teammate has Rajon Rondo been? He went to D-League games at Hoffman Estates when he wasn't getting run. Any run with the Bulls? Hoffman Estates is a ways from the United Center, just for the record. It's a suburb of Chicago. And then he went on, currently. As a young player, as in 2018, as a young player, if you don't have a lot of great veterans around you, that's giving you a boost of confidence every night. It's tough to go through that, especially a player coming from where Nico is from. He may not have a lot of friends in the NBA, so it's big for a guy like him. It's good for any young player. The group last year, we just didn't gel. Once we finally figured out we were capable of winning, everything went out the window. It was all about the team. I guess we got a couple wins and we started to click through the end of the season. I think this is much more as a family. You have a couple superstars, they're really good guys. I'm surprised how they're outside of the floor, how they are outside of the floor, very normal guys. That's Ben Roethlisberger, we'll get to that in a moment. Do you not see what I'm seeing?
What are you seeing?
I'm seeing the digs at the Bulls last year, which is, again, on the money, 1,000,000% accurate, because Dwyane Wade and Jimmy Butler hated playing with that group of guys. They did, and Rondo was right. And once again, he is right.
Well, they weren't, I don't know if they were being picked to compete for a championship, so.
They weren't, and that's what frustrated Jimmy Butler and Dwyane Wade, because they thought at the beginning of the season, they had a good enough roster to compete, and they weren't competing.
I don't know, maybe they were one of the few that did believe that. So, I mean, so again, when the comparisons come to when Rondo was talking about his vets and that Celtics team, they were expected to do what they did. To a point. I'm not sure if they're expected to beat the Lakers, but then they did what they were doing, right?
Yes.
And so it worked out that way. So I don't know if that Bulls team was expecting to do it to that level. Like, sure, everyone goes in the season expecting to win. No one goes and goes, yep, we're first game of the season, let's ready to tank. You know, no one's at that point. But so in comparison, I get the comparisons, but maybe it's a different scenario that he was dealing with in Boston versus what he was doing in Chicago.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to compare those different vets.
But now he's comparing the culture of not necessarily caring, but the culture of togetherness. Because in Chicago, it was not this.
Right.
In Boston, it was this. In New Orleans, it's this.
And then you see what you can do.
It's like comparing bad relationships that you had and realizing how horrible it was as you reflect back on it.
Yeah.
Everybody has done this with every relationship they've had, and that's what Rajon Rondo is doing. And I appreciate his transparency and honesty through ESPN, because look, he didn't have to say this, but again, it shows what New Orleans is right now. They are a team. They are together. Even though they're down in the series, they're not breaking away. They look at Drew Holiday, they look at Anthony Davis, they look at Rondo to be the veterans that lead this team. And they're doing that. But Anthony Davis not necessarily
again, to be clear though, he didn't say this stuff about the previous Bulls team like right now. This wasn't like
that last quote was right now.
Yeah, those last quotes, but I'm talking about the ones where he's talking about his vets with the Celtics.
Yeah, that was
before, like
that was when he was with the Bulls.
Right, he's been making these comparisons for years, and it's been like clear to a point. But the stuff about supporting Nico, right?
Yes,
that's happening right now.
Yes, and it sounds like, as well, that you just led me to. You let a horse to water here. That they didn't support Nikola Mirotic, and it's true they didn't. Because guess what? Even this season, Wade, Butler not there. They both got, well, one was released and the other one was traded. It seemed like nobody supported Nico at all when he got punched in the face by Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
And he needed a change of scenery, so cool.
It sounded like, I don't know who the details of that fight was, but.
I gave them to you. Now you know. If you don't know, now you know.
I'm talking about where it started, who was the instigator, who was in the wrong.
Right, so Nico was playing hard defense on him in practice. Bobby Portis started getting really pissed, and then he socked Nico in the face, and Nico was out for an extended period of time. And then when Nico came back, they won 7 straight games.
This is the thing.
The only time they were at 500.
It's a difference in personalities. Some, as he's talking about, the personalities gelling. Some guys maybe don't feel like coddling a new kid. Maybe. Be like, hey, you feeling okay there, Nico? Hey, you got your baba, Nico?
Speaking of,
you need your diaper changed. Sometimes they don't want to do that. They expect some guys to just be, some guys come right in. Look, I don't know how he is off the floor, but I feel like Donovan Mitchell probably doesn't need to be coddled. I just have that feeling, just from seeing the way he plays.
Could be.
And maybe veterans don't like having to deal with having to coddle someone. And Rondo's a good guy. He's cool with it. He clicked with the guy, and he's like, you know what? He needs this because he's talented.
Right.
Maybe some guys don't feel like putting up with that.
Speaking of, Ben Roethlisberger had an interesting quote. Check it out, youtube.com/TYT Sports.